Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And today it's time to go almost to the end of Extreme Challenge Quest, this time taking on the Tornado Colossus. Wants us to use a space magic team. Now, we are getting towards the end of this, and we are missing a few non-EX metas. We've missed the Light 2.0 team with the Brides. We're missing the Dark First Anniversary team, because that should have been in between here. And then we're missing the Space 3.0 team and the Fire 2.0 team. So they didn't have enough stages to cover everything. So we do have two different options we can use here. So looking at the missions, 9 turns or less, 3 magic skills, and a 6 combo of greens. Both the Space 2.0 and 3.0 teams run on greens and have magic changing orbs. So that'll be the first two teams we show off today in the stage, and either one of them will most definitely get the job done. And then we'll switch to the free-to-play team. But the quest itself, Colossus, 257k, the stats don't look all that terribly impressive. He does raise his own attack a little bit, nerfs oranges, not a big deal, so you can bring a blue team if you want. But let's go ahead and build the Space 2.0 team first. Alright, the Space 2.0 team, famously, at least for myself, the one meta that I didn't actually summon for, and I didn't get any of the characters until after their month was over, because this was the time when they first made the transition to only focusing on single target bosses to opening it up to AoE fights and AoE units, and at this point, it was still a bit untested. Like, this was their first Heroes Jubilee where it was AoE focused, and literally every unit that have come out that was good was single target, so I was kind of on the fence, and I didn't actually want to summon for it, so I used other people's accounts to do showcases for them, funnily enough, and now here we are, and AoEs are like pretty much the highlight of the game, and single targets have fallen off the wayside. But Guy, changing 3 blues and 3 oranges to 6 greens, putting an AoE debuff on, and giving us, I think, 25% free ult gauge, might be 35. Free-to-play Aaron for the orange to green convert. Velzard has the blue to green convert and frostbite and instant damage. The free-to-play Rain has the small green buff and a heal, misery, and then Rain over here. I always get them mixed up. Rain for blue water. She has instant damage and crits and all that, space resistance down, a whole bunch of small debuffs, and then Leon is technically our AoE as a DPS, even though we're only fighting one thing here, so it should work fine still regardless, but it's just funny. Okay, since Guy can change orbs, we don't really need to worry about turn 2 so much, we just need to get him active. So by sending 4 blue orbs, we will be able to get him active. So let's just go ahead and swap all these characters out. We'll send these 4 blues. That gets us a protection gauge. Excellent. Oh, actually, I think Rain does more damage than Leon. Okay, that's good to know. We'll keep that in mind. Alright, so this is why we brought an orb changer anyways, because he only changes 3 oranges, and we have 4. Rain has no orbs, though, so she is free to be swapped out for Aaron, and then we'll use her orb change, and then we have enough points left over to use the green buff from Misery. It's not as strong as Veldora or Isis, because it's only a 30% gauge increase, but it does come with green damage, which I guess is cool. And this team doesn't raise skill cap at all. Guy doesn't do anything with our skill points except change greens that will give us more skill points. So this works fine, it's just that, as you can see, we don't get another Guy gauge. Kind of unfortunate. But the AoE debuff means that our AoE ult will do more, and all of our different low-cost skills are going to help us pretty much power through. And I'm pretty sure we can just kill him here. The AoE debuff lasts for 2 turns, so I don't need to worry about it. Let's see, we don't need Misery anymore, so let's bring Rain in. And how many points do we actually need to use here? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Frostbite? Just to increase all these... Okay, so actually, first off, what do they fucking do? 80% ult damage, instant damage, physical resistance, defense down, instant damage, guaranteed crit for Rain only. That is skill fused as well. It must have been something else. Space resistance and crit damage up, and then the frostbite, which will increase the percentage of the debuffs. It's like the opposite of Drago, and then instant damage. Or we could just orb change. And whatever. Well, instant, boom, instant, debuff, instant. And we'll send Leon, because he's supposed to be the DPS, quote unquote, right? And I'm fairly certain we'll be able to kill. That's a lot of small time buffs on a not very high HP target. Alright, it does look pretty good though. It's quite flashy for a Leon ult. Glorious End. I don't even know how much health he had right now. 46,000? Okay, well. You know, I say all these things. Doesn't mean they're actually true. Okay, well we used all those. It's sad damage. See, this is why I wasn't sold on this meta when it first came out. 25,000. Wow, that's horribly depressing. Thankfully, he doesn't have that much HP left, and we can just full orb change here into another 6-hand of greens. And we have enough points. No, we don't have enough points, so let's just go ahead and send it. Rain does more damage than Leon, so we'll send him. And yeah, okay, there we go. Did the alts help? Certainly. They didn't kill, though, which is kind of what you hope for an alt would do in a non-Jubilee stage where enemies have health bars. Well, there we go. There's the Space 2.0 team. Let's now fast forward 5 or 6 months into the Space 3.0 team. Okay, the Space 3.0 team, like I said, came out 5 or 6 months after the other Space meta, and it's still AoE focused, but followed a very radically different formula, one that I still find hilarious to this day. So we are aware of the Enamor effect, where you get extra alt gauge at the end of the turn for multiple turns, and you can enamor a bunch of people, and you can get like 30% alt gauge for free. Yeah, this is the team that started that. This is the very first team that had the Enamor effect, and Shinsha, and Sufia, and Xion all have that ability, alongside Protector Ramaris, who doesn't have the Enamor skill per se. She has the Vitalization skill, which is an extra 45% alt gauge. So, if you put 45, and then in an AoE setting you have 15 and 15 and 15, well, that's 45 and 45. That's 90% alt for free. And it was just so fucking stupid that we're just gonna have fun using this. I love using this team. It's such a trash heap. This will work. Okay, so the unfortunate thing is that we don't have an AoE-focused stage. We only have one enemy, which means we can only put the Enamor effect on him once, which really does limit our damage output because of our alt gauge. We're not going to have a 90% alt gauge every single turn. We're going to have 60%. I know, tragedy strikes, right? But here we go. This is not a super great hand, but Ramaris does, on top of giving us the 45 alt gauge, gives us a little bit of space attack and 40 skill points, which means that we will have enough to orb change here and do a few other things. So let's bring Isis in for Yuki. They gave us a physical Yuki in a magic meta. They did that for the anniversary as well. They gave us the physical Diablo for a very clearly magic-focused protector. Still to this day, I have no fucking idea what they were doing. But let's go ahead and use Ramaris. I'm just going to skip this. But now we have the purple Vitalization on, and now we can apply the Enamor skill. And then Xion's gives herself an Enamor Strike, which is just 15% extra attack when you hit someone who's enamored, which that's cool and everything. But yeah, we can't really use anything else except the Pierce power. If we try and use the other two Enamor skills, it's not going to do anything. So there's no point. But you can see Xion, not quite there. Sufia, she's still a little ways away. Shinsha has no alt gauge, essentially. But watch what happens at the end of this turn, and just watch it explode. So 31.5, that's decent damage right there for 6 orbs. Alright, yep, thank you for that. And now, Enamor, boom. Vitalization, boom. Alright, there's ults. And then, look at Shinsha, and she's got almost an alt gauge right there. And if we left her up front, she would get an alt next turn. But we're going to swap her out, though. Well, no, we're not. We're just going to send it. Okay, so let's do the alt buff, space resistance down. We still have the space attack buff, I think. Yeah, it's for 3 turns. And even if we don't kill here, we're going to send these orbs. And then we should get another alt for Xion next turn, because we're going to get 60% alt. And that was the whole fun of this team, is that you didn't really need to send a lot of orbs, because you were going to get their alt gauge regardless. Especially when it was an AoE setting, and all 3 of the enemies were enamored. And you were getting an extra 45 on top of the 45. So boom, and boom. 19,000 damage right there. Alright, he's almost dead. Alright, hit Shinsha. Enamor. Boom. Vitalization. Boom. And oh look, we've traded a Sufia ult for a Shinsha ult. Oh look, we have another Ramaris for another 40 points. Alright, well let's just use the alt buff again. And this time we'll hit with Shinsha. And that was the fun of this team. And this is why I enjoy it so much, because you don't have to get lucky with orb RNG. You just need to set yourself up to where you can enamor and you can put Ramaris' skill on at least once. And then you really don't have to worry about ults. Yeah, it still helps to send a lot of orbs. But, God, she's just adorable with the ice cream on her nose. But, it doesn't really matter all that much at the end of the day. You're still gonna ult, you're still gonna kill. We ran Space Millum on this team as well, instead of Yuki, because Yuki served literally no purpose there. But, I think it's just kind of funny. If you've never used this team, I implore you to use it at least once if you have the building blocks of it. And I promise it'll put a smile on your face. Just watching your alt gauge fill up automatically. Alright, the free-to-play team, we are going back to Frey. She is the best green free-to-play protector in the game, so we're just going to use her. Veldora, Isis, the new Geld, and then Sufia also here. And Cleash, because she is space and magic. Her orb change is inconsequential, but she does have, again, the magic debuff. And now that we're running a stacking green with buffs and skill resets, we should have enough points to make use of her magic resistance down debuff. Alright. What makes this fight so easy is, honestly, it's Frey. She really is, I think, probably one of the best free-to-play protectors out there, because up until this point, we've never had a free-to-play protector who starts as a 4-star be able to reset skills more than just one time. Like, she is stacking, and while she is stacking at lower amounts than premium summonable protectors, we still now have access to a free-to-play protector that I would probably recommend to all future players to pick up out of the flashback shop, since she will be in there. And then you will have some variation of a stacking green team, regardless of how efficient it is at, when you get her built up and everything, because obviously we're raising our cap by 20 and not 50, and we're not stacking 36% attack and we're stacking 5. It still does give people the option to skill reset, which means that, running this Frey with Vengeance Yome is actually quite viable. And if you don't have access to Overlord Rimuru, you don't have access to the first anniversary of Eldora, Frey is going to be a very solid option for people to use for a green stacking team because of the simple fact of resetting skills. We have a lot of green focused buffing characters already in the game. 3 of them are here actually. Veldora, Isis, and Geld. So they're all free to play. They're all, Isis is accessible at any given point. Veldora and Geld after this month, not so much. But very solid options for green teams. And that's very good for the game. And I think she's much more efficient than any of the blue stack protectors that we have that are free to play in the same vein, simply because of the reset. So she makes this run go very, very smoothly. We have either the Veldora or the Isis buff up to give us the extra protection gauge. We have the Geld skill that not only gives us more skill points on top of the Isis/Veldora buff, but it's also lowering their weakness resistance, which means that Cleash and Sufia are going to hit harder and harder every single time we use it. We don't use it that much because we don't need that many points to cap out, but still, the effect is scene. And alongside getting the extra stacks of attack from Frey herself, this stage is quite easy. Sure, the orb changes can be a bit wonky because Veldora only changes his own and Geld only changes his own, but we have Sufia and Isis here to convert straight up blues and oranges. So everyone on this team is a converter, even Cleash, technically, and the stage doesn't nerf blues, so on an off chance that you do get like a hand of blues and greens only, like Cleash can get you out of that too. And we do have access to the magic buff, which we're not going to need because, well, I mean, magic debuff, my bad. We're not going to be able to use here in this scenario, but it's in our back pocket. It would help us hit harder. We maybe would have killed on this turn if we had enough points, but it's still turn 6. We're in no danger of dying, so this attack from Sufia will be the final blow, and that was one of the most painless things I've done in the free-to-play teams since using Frey last time for one of the other videos. So I've still yet to do my entire showcase on Frey, but this is giving me very solid hope that free-to-play protectors moving forward will be a lot better than what we previously had at the very beginning of EX metas. So I spent this entire time sucking off Frey. I mean, the stage is easy. She makes things easy. We have a whole bunch of orb changers that work well together, buffing characters. This very easy to do. So if you don't have access to the Space 2 or 3.0 teams, this will work just fine. But if you have any others, that's not Vengeance, put it in the comments down below. But that's it for me, guys. Take it easy, and I'll see you all later.